Some of the most valuable dimes aren't old. They're mint errors, off-center strikes, double dies, and missing mint marks have turned ordinary Roosevelt dimes into treasures worth thousands. Always check your change. The 1976 United States Roosevelt one-dime coin may seem like just another small, everyday piece of change, something that has passed through countless hands over the decades, tucked away in cash registers, coin jars, and piggy banks. But when you slow down and take a closer look, the 1976 dime becomes much more than 10 cents. It carries history, artistry, and rarity, and for collectors, it represents the perfect blend of the ordinary and the extraordinary. Though billions were struck, certain examples and minting errors have proven to be highly valuable, and in the right conditions, these dimes have sold at auctions for impressive prices, far beyond their humble face value. To fully understand the 1976 dime, we need to remember the era in which it was produced. The mid-1970s was a moment of celebration for the United States. The nation was commemorating its bicentennial, the 200th anniversary of independence. For that special year, the quarter, half-dollar, and dollar coins carried unique commemorative reverse designs with the dual date 1776 to 1976. But the dime, along with the cent and the nickel, kept its regular design. That makes the 1976 dime a quiet participant in the bicentennial celebrations, still tied to its traditional look but produced in the same spirit of national pride. The Roosevelt dime design itself had been around for 30 years by 1976. First introduced in 1946 to honor President Franklin D. Roosevelt, the design by John R. Sinek featured Roosevelt's left-facing portrait on the obverse. His profile is accompanied by the inscriptions Liberty, along the rim, In God We Trust, just beneath his chin, and the date 1976 at the lower right. The designer's initials, JS, appear at the base of Roosevelt's neck. The reverse is equally symbolic, showing a torch in the center representing liberty, flanked by an olive branch of peace on one side and an oak branch of strength and independence on the other. The inscriptions United States of America, E Pluribus Unum, and one dime complete the design. By this time, the dime had already gone through a major transition in composition. Up until 1964, dimes were struck in 90% silver and 10% copper. But rising silver prices and widespread hoarding forced the mint to change the metal content starting in 1965. From then onward, including in 1976, dimes were struck from a copper-nickel-clad composition. An inner core of pure copper sandwiched between outer layers of 75% copper and 25% nickel. This gave the coin the familiar silvery appearance without using precious metal. Each coin weighed 2.27 grams and measured 17.9 millimeters in diameter. Production numbers for 1976 were high. The Philadelphia Mint struck over 569 million dimes without a mint mark, while Denver produced more than 695 million, identified by the small D mint mark. Additionally, the San Francisco Mint struck proof dimes for collectors, with over 4 million proof coins included in bicentennial proof sets. This massive production means that most 1976 dimes remain extremely common, and in circulated condition, they are worth no more than 10 cents. But that's where the story takes a turn, because among those hundreds of millions are the rare gems and error coins that collectors eagerly chase. When it comes to regular circulation strikes, condition is everything. Coins graded in MS-65 condition with sharp detail and attractive luster are worth a few dollars, while MS-67 examples can reach into the $50 to $100 range. The true standouts are coins graded MS-68 with the coveted full torch designation, meaning the lines on the reverse torch are fully struck and distinct. These coins are very rare, and when they appear at auction, they can command several $100s or more. Collectors pay strong premiums for such coins because finding a dime from a mintage of hundreds of millions that survived in nearly flawless condition is no easy task. But what really makes the 1976 Roosevelt dime fascinating are its error coins. Minting errors are like accidental works of art, and in many cases, they transform a common coin into something truly special. Off-center strikes are some of the most visually dramatic. A 1976 dime struck 10% to 30% off-center, while still showing the date, can sell for $75 to $200. The more extreme the error, the higher the value, with coins struck 50% off-center sometimes fetching several $100s. Broad strike errors are also found in 1976 dimes. These occur when the collar die that normally keeps the coin's shape is missing, allowing the coin to spread wider and flatter than normal. A broad strike in uncirculated condition can be valued between $50 and $150. Clipped planchet errors, where part of the blank was improperly cut, leaving a noticeable curved or straight clip, are another popular type of error. These can sell for $40 to $125 depending on how dramatic the clip is. Double strike errors are rare but spectacular, where the coin receives more than one strike from the dies, leaving overlapping images. These can sell for several $100s depending on the clarity and size of the doubling. And then there are the dream errors, coins struck on the wrong planchet. In some cases, a dime might have been struck on a planchet intended for a cent or even a foreign coin. For example, a 1976 dime struck on a cent planchet would appear copper-colored and smaller than normal, instantly catching the eye. Such wrong planchet errors can bring thousands of dollars at auction if authenticated. Proof coins from San Francisco add another layer of intrigue. Most proof dimes from 1976 are worth only a few dollars, but those with deep cameo contrast, sharp frosted devices against mirrored fields, can fetch $50 to $150 in top grades. Even more exciting are proof errors. Imagine a proof dime missing its mint mark or struck with doubling. These are the kinds of rare mistakes that collectors will pay thousands for because of their extreme scarcity. Auction results highlight the surprising value these coins can reach. A 1976 Roosevelt dime in MS-68 full torch condition has sold for several $100s, while dramatic mint errors like off-center strikes and double strikes routinely sell in the hundreds. Proof coins with perfect grades and deep cameo contrast can fetch impressive premiums. And in extraordinary cases, wrong planchet errors or rare varieties can command thousands. The 1976 dime carries an additional layer of charm because of its connection to the bicentennial. While it didn't bear a commemorative design like the quarter, half, or dollar, it still shares the context of that historic year. For collectors, that gives it a special place. It represents the quiet side of the celebration, the coin that continued as usual while the larger denominations stole the spotlight. Yet today, the 1976 dime proves that even the coins that weren't celebrated at the time can end up as hidden treasures decades later. What makes the 1976 dime so compelling is its dual identity. On one hand, it's one of the most common coins imaginable, with billions in circulation and millions more tucked away in jars and drawers across the country. On the other hand, in the right grade, with the right error, or in the right auction, it can transform from 10 cents into hundreds, thousands, or even more. That's the magic of coin collecting, the thrill of knowing that treasure could be hiding in your everyday change. So the next time you come across a dime dated 1976, don't be too quick to dismiss it. Hold it up to the light, study the details of Roosevelt's portrait, and check the reverse for the sharpness of the torch. Look for signs of off-center strikes, broad strikes, clips, or doubling. Because while most are only worth their face value, a few have already proven themselves capable of commanding serious money at auction. That's the allure of the 1976 Roosevelt dime, a coin that bridges the ordinary and the extraordinary, and one that still sparks the imagination of collectors nearly half a century later. The 1982 United States Roosevelt dime is a fascinating coin that tells a story far richer than its 10-cent face value might suggest. For many people, it's simply change jingling in a pocket or a small coin tossed into a jar and forgotten. But for collectors and numismatists, the 1982 dime stands out as a year full of transition, surprises, and unique details that continue to draw interest even decades later. With the right condition or error, this little dime can be worth far more than its face value, and in some cases has brought hundreds or even thousands of dollars at auction. To begin, let's look at the broader background. The Roosevelt dime was first issued in 1946, just 1 year after President Franklin D. Roosevelt's death. His image was chosen for the dime because of his legacy as a leader during the Great Depression and World War II, but also because of his deep connection to the March of Dimes, a campaign to fight polio. Designed by John R. Sinek, the obverse of the coin features a left-facing bust of Roosevelt with the word Liberty above and to the left, "In God We Trust," and the designer's initials JS in smaller letters, and the date on the lower right. The reverse depicts a torch in the center, symbolizing liberty, flanked by an olive branch for peace and an oak branch for strength, surrounded by United States of America, E Pluribus Unum, and 1 dime. By 1982, Roosevelt dimes were being struck in a copper-nickel-clad composition. The days of silver dimes had ended in 1964, when the mint switched to clad coinage to save on rising silver costs. The copper core of the 1982 dime is sandwiched between outer layers of copper and nickel, giving the coin a silvery look without the expense of real silver. But 1982 is remembered in numismatics for another important reason. It was the first year since 1968 that the U.S. Mint produced coins without a mint mark. Beginning in 1968, dimes from Philadelphia began carrying a P mint mark for the first time, distinguishing them from Denver and San Francisco issues. However, in 1982 something unusual happened. Due to a mistake at the Philadelphia Mint, some dimes were struck without the P Mintmark. These no Mintmark 1982 dimes were released into circulation before anyone realized the error, and by the time it was discovered, thousands were already in the hands of the public. This created an immediate sensation among collectors. The 1982 no P Roosevelt dime is now one of the most famous modern mint errors, and it remains highly sought after today. Its rarity lies not in the number of dimes struck in 1982, which was in the hundreds of millions, but in the small fraction of them missing the Mintmark.in terms of value. The 1982 no P dime has sold for impressive sums. In circulated grades, it can bring $75 to $150 depending on condition, but in mint state grades the price jumps dramatically. A certified MS-65 no P dime can easily sell for $300 to $500. The most pristine examples, graded MS-67 or higher, have sold for over $1,000 at auction. One record-setting sale saw a 1982 no P dime graded MS-68 fetch several $1,000s, cementing its place as one of the most valuable modern dimes. But the no P isn't the only reason 1982 dimes attract attention. Collectors also prize high-grade examples of regular 1982p and 1982d dimes. While most circulated examples are worth only 10 cents, uncirculated coins in MS-67 full torch condition, meaning the horizontal lines on the torch are fully separated and distinct, can command prices in the hundreds. For example, a 1982d dime in MS-67 FT has sold for over $500. These high-grade coins are rare not because the mint didn't make many dimes, but because most entered circulation and were never preserved in perfect condition. Errors from 1982 dimes add another layer of intrigue. Off-center strikes, where the design is noticeably shifted, can bring $100 to $300 depending on the percentage of misalignment. Broad strikes, where the coin appears stretched beyond its normal rim, are also collectible, typically selling for $50 to $150. Double strike errors, where the coin shows overlapping impressions, are rarer and can bring $500 or more. The most dramatic errors are wrong planchet strikes. These occur when a dime is struck on a blank meant for another coin, such as a cent or a foreign denomination. Such errors are instantly recognizable because of the wrong size, weight, or color. A 1982 dime struck on a cent planchet would appear coppery instead of silver-colored, and such a coin could easily bring thousands at auction. These types of errors are very rare, but when they appear, they attract intense collector demand. Proof coins from the San Francisco Mint also exist for 1982, although they were not struck in silver at the time. These proof coins, with mirror-like fields and frosted designs, are collected primarily for their beauty and precision. While most proof dimes from 1982 are worth only a few dollars, examples graded PR70 Deep Cameo are extremely rare and can bring strong premiums, sometimes several $100s. When we look at auction history, we see just how much potential lies in the 1982 dime. Beyond the no P errors that have sold for thousands, some of the highest grade clad dimes from 1982 have brought equally strong results. A 1982 P dime in MS-68 full torch once sold for well over $1,000. A dramatic double strike error from the same year also crossed the auction block for nearly $2,000. These results are remarkable when you consider that the starting point for these coins is just 10 cents. The broader lesson of the 1982 dime is that value often comes from rarity, condition, or uniqueness. Most 1982 dimes are worth only face value, but the few that stand apart, whether because of a missing mint mark, an error during production, or an extraordinarily high grade, are treasures. They show that even in the modern era, with billions of coins being minted each year, there's still room for surprises and hidden gems. For collectors, this makes the 1982 dime an exciting coin to search for. The no P dime, in particular, has inspired countless people to check their change and examine their coins carefully. Many of these discoveries were made by everyday people who happened to notice something unusual about their pocket change. That thrill of discovery, realizing that a coin you thought was ordinary is actually worth hundreds or thousands, is one of the things that keeps people engaged with the hobby of numismatics. The 1982 Roosevelt dime is also historically important. It reminds us that even in a highly mechanized minting process, mistakes happen. And when they do, the results can create lasting legacies in the world of coin collecting. The no P dime remains a landmark in modern coinage, a tangible reminder that minting errors are not just relics of the past but can occur in any ERSO. The next time you come across a 1982 dime, don't dismiss it as just another piece of change. Look closely at the date. Check for the P mint mark. If it's missing, you might have something very special. Examine the strike quality, the condition of the torch on the reverse, and the overall appearance. That dime could be far more than 10 cents. It could be a key to numismatic history, a sought-after error, or a flawless gem worth hundreds or even thousands. The 1995 United States Roosevelt one-dime coin is one of those pieces of American change that most people barely notice before sliding into a cash drawer, dropping into a vending machine, or tossing into a jar at home. It's small, light, and worth just 10 cents in everyday life. But when you look closely at what makes some of these coins stand out, you begin to realize why collectors pay so much attention to them. While billions were minted and most are still only worth face value, the 1995 dime hides stories of pristine condition rarities, dramatic mint errors, and even surprising auction results that show just how valuable this little coin can become when the right circumstances align. To appreciate the 1995 Roosevelt dime, it helps to understand the legacy of the series itself. First issued in 1946, the Roosevelt dime was introduced to honor President Franklin D. Roosevelt, who had passed away the year before. Designed by John R. Sinek, the coin carried Roosevelt's left-facing portrait on the obverse, with Liberty, Indiana God We Trust, and the date circling the bust. Sinek's initials, JS, also appear at the base of Roosevelt's neck, a small detail that collectors still look for today. The reverse design, which has remained unchanged for decades, features a central torch representing liberty, flanked by an olive branch of peace and an oak branch of strength, along with the inscriptions United States of America, E Pluribus Unum, and one dime BY 1995. The U.S. Mint was striking billions of Roosevelt dimes annually in copper-nickel-clad composition, layers of copper and nickel bonded around a pure copper core. Silver dimes had ended in 1964, so the 1995 dime carried no precious metal value. Dimes were struck at Philadelphia with the P Mintmark, Denver with the D, and San Francisco with the S for proof coins. The sheer volume of production means that most 1995 dimes remain extremely common. Yet hidden among the ordinary coins are rare gems and valuable mistakes that turn these everyday dimes into collector treasures. Condition plays a huge role in value. While circulated examples are worth only face value, coins preserved in pristine condition can command impressive premiums. Collectors look for high-grade examples with blazing luster, sharp strikes, and no noticeable contact marks. The full torch, FT, designation, sometimes called full bands, is particularly important for Roosevelt dimes. This designation indicates that the horizontal lines across the torch on the reverse are fully defined and separated, showing an exceptional strike. A 1995 dime graded MS67 or MS68 with the full torch designation is far scarcer than it may seem, and registry set collectors often compete fiercely for such coins. Auction records show that some of these top-graded examples have sold for hundreds of dollars, with rare MS68 FT coins pushing even higher. Proof coins from San Francisco tell another side of the story. The 1995 S-proof dimes, struck with specially polished dies and planchets, display mirror-like fields and frosted devices. While proofs are generally more common in collector circles, the perfect examples graded PR70 Deep Cameo remain highly sought after. Even though thousands exist, the best pieces still bring premium prices at auction, often ranging from $50 to $150 or more depending on demand. But the real excitement around the 1995 dime comes from mint errors. These are the coins that break the rules, the accidents that slip past quality control and into circulation. Collectors love them because they're rare, dramatic, and visually unique. Off-center strikes are among the most popular errors. A 1995 dime struck 10%, 20%, or even 50% off-center instantly grabs attention. The more dramatic the off-center strike, the higher the value, especially if the date and mint mark remain visible. A 50% off-center 1995 dime could sell for $150 to $300, while more subtle examples might bring $50 to $100. Broad strikes are another favorite. If the retaining collar fails during striking, the dime spreads out wider than normal, sometimes with a distorted rim. These broad-struck 1995 dimes can fetch $75 to $200, especially when well-preserved. Clipped planchet errors, where part of the coin is missing due to a mispunched blank, are also appealing. A clean crescent-shaped clip adds instant collectible interest. A single clipped planchet 1995 dime might sell for $50 to $150, while multiple clips can push values higher. Double strikes and multiple strikes create even more spectacular pieces. A dime struck twice, with one strike misaligned from the other, creates a surreal overlapping image of Roosevelt and the reverse torch. These errors can easily sell for several $100s, sometimes topping $1,000 if the double strike is bold and dramatic. Perhaps the most valuable of all are wrong planchet errors. If a 1995 dime was struck on a blank intended for a cent, nickel, or foreign coin, the result is a one-of-a-kind rarity. These pieces have sold for thousands of dollars at major auctions, depending on the host planchet and condition. For example, a Roosevelt dime struck on a cent planchet creates a smaller, copper-colored coin with Lincoln's size but Roosevelt's design. The oddity of such coins makes them irresistible to collectors. Auction records from the 1990s through today reveal just how much interest there is in high-grade and error dimes from 1995. While most dimes remain worth just 10 cents, top-graded MS-68 full torch examples have sold for $500 or more. Error coins, depending on type, have ranged from $100 for minor mistakes up to several thousand for spectacular wrong planchet or double strike errors. All of this turns an ordinary 1995 dime into a potential treasure hunt. Imagine finding a jar of change from the 1990s, spilling out dozens of ordinary dimes, and then spotting one that's slightly off-center, or one that gleams with the sharp luster of a mint state gem. With a careful eye and a little luck, a coin most would dismiss as small change could reveal itself to be a miniature jackpot. The 1995 Roosevelt dime also serves as a reminder of why the series continues to hold such enduring appeal. It's not just the design, though Roosevelt's portrait and the symbolic torch remain iconic. It's the combination of history, rarity, condition, and error variety that makes collecting them so exciting. Every coin tells a story, and some of those stories unfold at auction when a once-overlooked dime suddenly sells for hundreds or even thousands of dollars. The lesson for collectors is simple. Never overlook the small stuff. The dime, perhaps more than any other coin, is one that people often dismiss because of its size and value. Yet, within those tiny copper-nickel discs lie opportunities for discovery. Whether it's a flawless MS-68 full torch beauty or a wild double-strike error, the 1995 Roosevelt dime has shown again and again that it can rise far above its 10-cent face value. So the next time you handle a dime from 1995, pause for just a moment. Check the date and mint mark. Look closely at the torch bands. Notice whether the strike looks unusual or the rim seems off. Because while billions of ordinary coins were made, the extraordinary ones are still out there, waiting in rolls from the bank, hidden in old jars of change, or tucked into collections passed down through families. And for the sharp-eyed collector, the 1995 dime can be far more than 10 cents. It can be history, rarity, and in the right case, a treasure worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars.